All right, so hello everyone. I am Katie, and today I'm here with Dr. Jeans and Jacob. These are both dedicated members of our Matter staff, and they have expertise in health and nutrition performance. We're excited to discuss the nutritional benefits of Chaya and the impact it has on all of our well-being. So, Dr. Michael Jeans, can you please talk to us a little bit about the health benefits of Chaya compared to other things, let's say, as traditional spinach?
Well, Katie, thank you very much for having me on. Just for those listening, I'm based in Zimbabwe and I'm a medical doctor in Zimbabwe. So I have a particular interest in driving the Chaya project because it's a spinach variant, a tree spinach variant, which contains significantly more protein, particularly, as well as calcium, iron, vitamins A and C than our traditional African kale that we have here called chimolia, that they often turn into a relish type dish and eat with a corn based hard porridge. That's important because this is quite an easy crop to grow. It looks very similar to the traditional fare that they have here, the African kale, but nutritionally, it's the protein in particular I'm interested in because it's the one thing that we're really struggling with here in terms of the malnutrition rates. And when you have children or even adults with suffering from chronic or acute severe malnutrition, they're deficient of many nutrients, but the main macronutrient they lack is protein. They get a lot of carbohydrate from the maize-based porridges that they take in, but protein is particularly scarce, and that's where we start to see pathology and disease taking hold. The other elements in it, calcium, iron, vitamins A and C, are also very helpful. Vitamin A in our setting particularly. But it contains about 3 times the protein that our traditional African kale does. So it's a far superior alternative while remaining fairly consistent with the traditional fare here.
Yeah, no, those are all incredible points, and we've been lucky enough to see those firsthand. So, can you tell us a little bit more, and maybe you touched on it a little bit already, but why the Chaya project is currently important in Zimbabwe and in the state of Zimbabwe today?
Well, if the UNICEF statistics are accurate, and they generally are, we're looking at 1 in 4 kids who, by the age of 5, will be stunted. So they will be physically impaired in their growth velocity because they're not getting the nutrition they need. They're suffering from malnutrition. So that's approaching 25% of all kids in Zimbabwe. And the more rural we go in the country, the worse those statistics become. For under 6 months, we're looking at almost half of all kids who are not getting the nutrition that they need to achieve their optimal growth rates. So that becomes a very scary statistic. And it implies that it's not just the nutrition of the children themselves, because below 6 months, they're usually breastfeeding and exclusive breastfeeding. It means we need to sort out the nutrition of the mothers as well. And like I said before, with malnutrition in our context, it's primarily a protein energy malnutrition. So it would be wonderful to feed all these people animal products, but those are not immediately available, particularly in areas that suffer very harsh climates or the sheer poverty of the area means that people don't have access to animal sources of protein, whereas Chaya is a hardy, drought-resistant crop that can be available all year round. So it's a fantastic substitute, a very good option to try and improve the protein and the calcium, iron, and vitamins A and C intake of these populations. So I like it because it's easy to grow. People will not really notice the difference from their traditional fare in terms of the African kale spinach. They taste very similar. They often mix it with some peanut butter to improve the nutritional content, but also the taste remains very similar. So people will adopt it very quickly. And I'm hoping, particularly this year with our poor rainfall, that this Chaya spinach will make a big difference to our malnutrition rates, particularly in the rural areas in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm very hopeful about the impact that Chaya will have on the Zimbabwean landscape in the near future. And if you guys will allow me to pivot to Jacob, can you talk a little bit about how Chaya can benefit things like muscle recovery and exercise and performance from more of a strength and conditioning perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you, obviously, for having me on, and Dr. Mike. My background is in sports performance, and I've worked with a lot of professional and collegiate and high school athletes. And from my perspective, in terms of the strength and conditioning research regarding nutrition, they used to think that you didn't quite need as much protein. And what we've seen in the research is that every time they update the guidelines, they're asking for more and more protein because those are the essential building blocks of muscle, connective tissue, immune system function. There's so many things in your body that literally cannot function properly or optimally without protein. And we see that obviously on the athlete side because of the work that they're doing, their body demands more protein, but that also trickles down to just the average adult or the average child who's not necessarily maybe a competitive athlete, but it doesn't change the demand for protein to repair and restore the body. As well, protein has a satiating effect in terms of so you don't quite feel as hungry because it's a denser molecule. It's typically there's a thermic effect to it in terms of burning it. That can help your metabolism. So there's so many important aspects to getting protein. The main barrier to it for a lot of people is just access to meat. Being able to prepare enough meat, being able to afford enough meat, especially from a healthy quality source. And obviously, in a lot of areas, protein powder or protein supplements isn't necessarily available. You can't just, run down to Costco in Zimbabwe and get a 40-pound, bag of protein. So something like Chaya that grows well in an arid climate, that is, Dr. Mike said, in line with traditionally how the community is already cooking and preparing food that has a higher protein content source, can solve so many different problems that are traditionally barriers, not just for people in Africa, but even for people in the US. And there's so many health benefits to it, whether you're an athlete or not, to have a higher protein based diet, just from the recovery side of it, from the immune system side of it, from a body composition side of it, from a metabolism side of it. A lot of the things that a lot of people struggle with around the world can be helped with a higher protein content. And then you layer on all the micronutrients, as Dr. Mike was saying, it's almost like a super multivitamin with high protein. I mean, it's just an incredible plant. And it's honestly something that I hope we see more of in the United States as well.
I couldn't agree more. Well, I just want to thank both of you. You've been incredibly insightful and very helpful. And thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.